Dee, thanks so much for being our guest here on Morning Live.
Thank you, Leanne. Good to talk to you. What an awful, awful incident.
It's frightening to see these things
what
happen.
happens, the media explodes with an incident like this. Someone got killed. As we know, the other person was badly injured and has been, I think, discharged from hospital now. But actually, there are incidents of road rage all the time. It's the big, huge ones with these sorts of consequences that hit the media. But the levels of aggression and the inappropriate responses that happen on our roads all the time are a reflection, in a sense, of the stress levels that people live under, of certain gender issues that we can talk about, and the kind of culture of violence and aggression that has come to be associated with our beautiful country.
Which is very, very unfortunate, because, I mean, a case like this, you know, you've got two guys, guns, shooting on the side of the road because of somebody who got upset about an incident in traffic. Now,
well,
this,
you think
like you
that
say,
it's that.
Exactly. There's got to be more to it than just that.
There is more to that. Many people get upset in the traffic. Sometimes they react badly. They might swear, you know, threaten and so on, and sometimes it leads to this. But never, ever have I seen someone who says, oh, well, I think it's Monday today, I'll take someone out on the road. When you talk to people, invariably, and unfortunately it can happen to men and women, of course, but much more prevalent amongst men, and I think for a reason. There's always been a build-up of stress with inappropriate and ways, not enough ways of how to deal with that stress.
Has road rage always been part and parcel of our daily lives? I mean, or is it just getting worse and worse?
I think that it has been part and parcel, in that if you define road rage as aggressive or threatening acts that might lead to either people being hurt, you know, it's been, but not to the same extent. I think that the fact that people die, it shows that the ability to control that flooding of emotion and the violent consequence of that, really pulling the trigger or acting out, isn't just, you know, threatening or showing a finger. It's taken to another level.
I mean, in terms of having a look at the rest of the world and having a look at how we are, I know you're no expert on road rage, you know, individually, but is this something that happens all around the world, as to the extent of taking out a gun and killing someone because they cut you off?
No, not all over the world. I mean, I've just come back from a country where you would think that the road rage would be higher, because the amount of hooting and honking on the road.
And that's what I don't understand.
The impatience is just ridiculous. I mean, you stop to let someone out, and there's huge. We do that all the time with our taxis. But in many other countries, it doesn't lead to death. People aren't carrying guns, and they wouldn't think of just pulling a trigger. And I think that it's hugely unacceptable here. But the build-up of that kind of violence, people have been maybe retrenched, jobs are difficult, economic times are difficult, at home there might be issues where people feel emasculated, and they're not able to talk about it or deal with it appropriately. So a lot of emotional buckets are beginning to look like the Alps now. And you happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Someone cuts you and you say, not today. This is it. And that person bears the brunt of a whole lot of build-up that's happened before. That was the proverbial little straw that broke the camel's back.
Absolutely. But, you know, which just makes you worry about what's going on in the lives of South Africans. I know it's money that's a problem, traffic lights. I don't care where you are in South Africa, there are traffic lights not working, which makes you late for work, which makes you more stressful. You want to go faster, but you can't get anywhere because you're stuck in traffic jams, and everybody's trying to get to the same place and nobody's moving. So are we a violent society?
You know, those stress levels are true. So we're talking about, if you start expanding just that little piece of the puzzle, or two pieces of two men who got, you know, who really challenged each other in this way, you're now looking at the infrastructure that we look at. You're now looking at a culture that we belong to. We're now looking at acceptable and not acceptable ways of behavior. We're now looking at things like inability to control, frustration, tolerances, where there's a difference between reaction and response. Reaction is a very quick reaction where there's no gap between the stimulus and the response. We need to be able to see that there's always a gap, even if it's an nth of a second, where we can make a choice.
Yeah.
We can always make a choice. We can see the big red stop sign inside our heads and say, stop. If we do this, you know, we might be digging more than one grave, in fact. Yeah. And we're unable to do that because the extent of emotional flooding, we flood with emotion before we think. The emotional part takes over before the thought part. And the essence of real emotional intelligence is to understand your feelings, what triggers them and why, and then deal with them intelligently. We're looking at the combination of head and heart, and in road rage, the initial thing is just the emotion. Unfortunately, the thinking is too late.
Dr. D, thank you for talking to us. Hopefully we can help some people out there. Just think about your reaction before you do it, because the consequences could be very, very severe. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Clinical psychologist Dorianne Weil chatting to us here on Morning Live. Let's take